Madagascar, an island where a strange phenomenon is known to occur. A beautiful day on the coast is a sign that on the high plateaus, the sun will soon give way to torrential rain. One country, two seasons. During the 6-month rainy season, villages are completely cut off from the world, barring a few brave adventurers who dare to deliver supplies. Here, forget about cars and trucks. Only tractors are able to risk the perilous journey. Thierry is one of the few who dares to travel to the isolated villages. Petrol, rice, flour, biscuits, in total over 4 tons of goods, a weight that will soon become a problem on the road. The Malagasy have one of the worst road networks in the world. Out of 49,250 kilometres, only 2,000 kilometres are tarred. Without infrastructure, the island is struggling to develop. Frequent tropical cyclones are quick to damage the new roads, and the tracks often double as swimming pools. Violent natural disasters are becoming more and more extreme. Floods, yet at the same time unprecedented drought. According to the UN, Madagascar is the first country to experience a famine caused by global warming. The island is paying dearly for the disappearance of almost 50% of its forests. Life is hard, but the Malagasy are not giving up. The masters of recycling, they know how to transform the smallest piece of metal into something useful. Madagascar, an island of fighters. It's hard to believe, but this path is considered an official road on the country's maps. With a trailer loaded with food, Thierry and his 2 assistants head for a village that has been cut off from the rest of the country by rain. They only have to travel 30 kilometres, but it will take them up to a week to reach their destination. But as the saying goes, one man's misfortune is another man's happiness. If the road was in good condition, Thierry and his men wouldn't have any work. To reach the 3,000 inhabitants of Ambotoriha, the men dedicate an enormous amount of effort.
Tenga, avem la ngarachi ke. Avem kakajus fiheji shishil. Tatron for.
Mas não me ensina a turno esse que ele rega.
Izy satria izy gagny mafy kotra ny tegna matanjaka tanjaka vatagna anazy zany tegna natiavagna azy raha olo malemilemy tsy manjary miasa amreto fa zany zareo safidigny fa araiky lahy atao magna zany ko atao zany mazoto miasa izy
avy eo atsopo koa le silisily de fezina le silisily manan'iny le silisily fezina manan'iny zany le silisily de rehefa voenjana tsara izy rehefa voenjana tsara izy de njanona malava be makany amin'ny tiranfort iny gasy namorona anty asy ty etsaka hoe sitina tiranfort silisily satria nifiny ty mbola manjary zany fa ty nifiny ty mbola maranitra zany izy mbola maranitra zany ty nifiny ty fa raha hoe malama ohatran'ity izy efa mety asina le silisily pneu manodidina anazy.
But after 15 meters, the chain comes off.
Mandroso fa mampiady aminazy memiko ave mandroso fampizoa azo amin'ny mahiagna.
And rarely the second time either.
Mandeha tongotra no tena aingakaingana zao no mandeha tracteur satria ny lalana ratsy tsy afaka mandeha mafy ny tracteur fa mandeha ongotra anao mba mandeha malakilaky.
Walking at a good pace can take between 6 and 7 hours to reach their village, as opposed to a week by tractor.
Zijn ze mafniad. Zijn ze mensen streng voor Jal Mahaj.
3 hours of struggle later, the tractor emerges from the mud.
Tsy maintsy tafavoaka, tsy maintsy miezaka ny tafavoakany amin'ny tanàna ihany. Zany mba miezaka be ny miady. Zany beky mbo malakilaky tafavoaka any. Ty entan'olona meky agny entam-barotra zany lany ao amin'ny grossiste.
Fortunately, some parts of the route are easier to work with. At the end of the day, the men arrive at a pit stop village. They've travelled 15 kilometres, half the distance. For the equivalent of €1, Thierry can sleep over at the villager's house, but for that price, you must share everything. Poor Thierry doesn't know how much he'll need this night's rest. In the middle of the rainy season in the highlands of Madagascar, many question whether it's worth risking their lives on the perilous roads. Of course not, but what other option do they have? At the Anshui bus station, everyone is preparing their bush taxis, making the final adjustments to avoid any accidents. Without the bush taxis, many villages would be deserted. They are an integral part of the economic survival of these people. These taxis enable them to sell their coal production and harvests across the country. Olivier observes the other drivers. He's lucky enough to drive a 4x4 and is one of the few who drives a road that everyone else refuses to. He crams in 18 people instead of the suggested 9.
Misy tsaratsara. Baka amin'ny cabine ka misy tsaratsara.
Tsisy tomobily mandeha tsy tao. Koa tsy Land Rover tsy afaka amina landratsy. Tsy voaboaka mandeha Sprinter amizao fotoana.
They set off on their 180-kilometre journey.
Raha sanatria aby le orana dia mety tombo kely ny fotoana lanitsika satria raha miala eto tsika zao hoe mandeha amin'izao andro fahavaratra zao dia adiny 9 zany adiny 7 ny lany fa raha ohatra ka misy hoe misendra misy mibahana ny camion ohatra zany dia mety noho le faharatsindalana dia mitombo ny ora lany amin'ity lalana ity.
He will struggle despite his many years of experience.
Efa mahampy eo amin'ny 30 taona eo nanaovako an'ity asa fitaterana ity. Raha ny tena marina zista hoe nahatsangana trano dia nahatoka mpianatra dia efa zava-dehibe zay. Nahatsangana trano kely ipetrahana dia.
Olivier is employed by a company and earns €50 per trip, but he manages to double his salary some months.
Zay koa zany tena fiainana aty Madagasikara e. Dia hoe tena asa zany tsy maintsy mba misy vadina asa foana fa tsy tafavoaka raha vao mifototra an'ity satria.
The driver does as many Malagasy do. He never misses a good opportunity, like accepting animals on board. They cost as much as a passenger, and it goes straight into his pocket. €7 for 4 goats, but the last one is making a run for it. And the chase is over. Olivier must drop off some customers in a village where a big party is going to take place. An unusual party. But they might be late because at the bend in the road, Olivier takes charge of the rescue.
Tena fipetrahana na velona hatrizay ary maro be ny vokatra aty fa le anaboahana anazy dia ohatran'izao foana ny iainanay.
Zay! 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 Zay!
10 pairs of arms, and half an hour later the van is free. The driver reaches the first stage of his journey without too much trouble, but the rest poses more trouble.
Nateto zany farany hoe mba azo afiafiana fa manomboka eto zany dia efa ady sarotra anao hatrehany satria hiditra lalan-dratsy amin'izay tsika sady miakatra. Alohan'ny hatrehana an'ilay lalan-dratsy 80 km sisany mba tsy hifanimetsy iny eo ambonimbony eo fa mihinana mangamanga ao raha sanatria mifaninao.
some of his passengers do not finish the journey, they make a stopover to take part in a strange sort of party. In these mountain villages, this tradition is still very much alive. It starts with lively music to wake up the dead. And for good reason, the villagers celebrate them with a very particular ritual.
Fomba ty zany izay le fomban-drazana malagasy famadiana. Iviona amin'ny mpianakavy ifankafantarana mpiray tapo rehetrarehetra. Vita zay miono daholo indray fianakaviana mifankalala alohany andehanany eny amin'ny fasana.
A big party to get the blessing of the dead. Everyone makes a wish to the dead, like passing an exam or having a child. Their ancestors are dug up to be taken to a new grave. Not all the graves are opened. To have this honour, their descendants must pay. They make their first offering by sprinkling the corpse with alcohol, and then they walk their ancestors to music. A dozen of their ancestors are exhibited on this special day. The ceremony also aims to unite all the members of a family in order to strengthen their bonds. Before moving them into their new home, the family gives them one last gift. The families usually hold these ceremonies every 7 years, enough time to save up the money to pay for the two-day party. The ceremony costs a little over €1,000, an enormous sum for the Malagasy people, as they usually live on €45 a month. So everyone enjoys it as best they can.
Tamilo fanaovana tiondrano. Fengeo roana amin'ny anina izy ty. Dia mitonga lavaka reo dia tendrena.
The families hope to have earned the blessings of their ancestors for the year to come. There is one person who missed the party. Thierry is in dire need of a bit of luck to reach this village where he delivers his goods. At 30 years old, he has no choice but to struggle as a deliveryman. In his region, most young people don't have a permanent job. So 4 years ago, with the help of his parents and a small loan, he bought a second-hand tractor. €10,000 that he repays as best he can. He only earns €60 per month.
za tamin'izay mbola nianatra. Dia avy amin'izay kofa tafarafara mijanona foky satria nagnano chauffeur mbola agnatin'ny fanaovana satria le raha zany afa izy zany velon-tegna le raha fanaka ny vidiny tsy ahita ho azy karaha mena olo na raha mbo hentegna zany voatery disy magnano zany tsy mahazo lavitra tsy halalagna tegna ratsy eky ny mbikan-draha 10 kilomètres tokony azony any tao.
He still has 15 kilometres to go before reaching the village. Very rarely maintained by the state, if ever, the tracks are deteriorating more and more over the years. Sometimes it seems like a lost cause, especially when the men see the bikes passing by with ease. But the worst thing for Thierry and his men is the traffic, and no one really intends on helping their competitors.
Afa maro be tsisy raha tokony resina ka. Afa maro leo mpagnano azy reo igny. Voatery mijery mandrapa zareo afaka avy amin'izay ke.
The ground is far too soft here to use a stake. The only efficient technique is to raise the tractor to prevent the front wheels from sinking into the mud, which is effective but dangerous.
Zay mbola tsara voany moa zay ndraiky fa nitolo tena fanatiny. Izy mihentagna igny vitrine arô amin'ny am'ridelle lohaka aky chauffeur igny. I volant amin'izay mientagna aky.
Tsy magnano e. Da misy agnaty serta fa avake zareo lanigny dô. Tegna reraka koa tao tsara hitan-jareo lalagna aty. Grave loatra. Afa lay efa fangatagna amin'jareo misy tao tsy mivaly e. Amboarigna zareo fa tsy voamboatra. Tsy voamboatra, magnano tao lala, tsy voaboaka vokotra jiaby. Raha kone. Anjali.
No matter how far they advance, the men always find themselves faced with a new problem. For 6 months, the 3,000 inhabitants of the village have had no way out due to this route. The most serious consequence is not being able to access healthcare in case of an accident or illness, so they develop their own unique ambulances, revisiting the sedan chair, like this lady making her way to the hospital.
Tegna tiako. Satria mbo tsy mijaly zany vahoaka ohatra regny izy moto jiaby ny olo marary mahazo lalagna lasa sahirana le tokony mbaloha takatra manjary tsy takatra.
Thankfully, the woman is not in a serious condition, but it will nevertheless take her 6 hours to see her doctor. Olivier and his men managed to reach some hard ground to drive a stake into and pull the tractor with the chain. But Olivier drove over the stake.
Depression men ka Pakistan nga misy vaky ty io. Mbala iza depoxy ambadagna azy. Sany avy amindray le tsy aiza gna sa ho tagnana sy tanana. Sa tsy ho tagnana sa andiagna sa. Regny zany tsy de fombanay loatra le miteny hoe misy problème teny. Mandalagny ora ohatra hoe panina zany ho manahiragny. Fô zany asa tsy maintsy tay. Hotery magnano.
They will have to spend the night here. Faced with constant hardship, the Malagasy have developed great resolve. In the capital, Tananarive, close to the charming central districts, lies a surreal place. These collectors have taken over a whole part of the city. They sell anything they can get their hands on from the rubbish bins. They give new purpose to broken objects. The smallest piece of metal becomes useful. Nobody can afford a steel cutting machine, so everything is done by hand. These artists make shovels out of recycled metal. Marcelin, in the blue t-shirt, and Danny, his partner in crime, are looking for materials to make a cooking utensil. A brazier is a mini barbecue. The two men make a living from odd jobs, and today a family has placed an order with them.
This is 14 this wood.
These two panels come from the chassis of a computer. Now to find the right craftsman to shape them. In 20 minutes, the two computer plates become a mini barbecue. Marceline lived in this neighbourhood for a long time, but eventually left when a disease from the Middle Ages resurfaced. In 2017, an unprecedented plague outbreak infected over 2,500 people and killed more than 100 in the country. The disease continues to claim victims today, transmitted by rat fleas. Today, Marcelin lives far away from the ghetto and the disease that lurks there. His new neighbourhood is just as poor, but much cleaner. He lives with his sister-in-law, his wife, and his 2 children in a flat, or rather a room of 15 square metres.
Satria zay sahirana zay koa betsaka anankidimy zay no mipetraka hitanareo zany atao aminay tery be toreto zany tsy omby tato le fanaka tokony hipetrarany re dia tsy maintsy tato reto anany reto akanjony reto hitanareo amin'izao tsy omby dia tany tery zany ny tranonay dia fifinay amin'izao nianatra zany nianatra tena nianatra ary tiako ny fianarana fa niezaka foana nefa moa araka le niteneniko teo mafy ny fiainana dia tao amin'ny kilasy fahatelo any janona tsy afaka BPC zany dia nijanona dia nanambady dia so lasa mitady vola mamelomako an'le vady aman-janako.
Of the 4 million unemployed, 70% are young people. Like Marcelin and his family, they're all in a very precarious situation. So it's not unusual for the capital's small-scale scrap merchants to go out and scour the roads. Almost all the bridges have lost their railings. Olivier, his clients, and the goats seem to be on the right track. The road is getting better, and the driver has used his many years of experience to make up for lost time. But nothing ever goes smoothly on the roads of Madagascar. Faced with this minefield, Olivier is frustrated, and his assistant will pay the price. His anger mounts when his assistant starts to help the trucker, and when he sees a tractor block the escape route he was hoping to take. Two hours later, Olivier manages to pull himself out of the quagmire. Now it will be smooth sailing. There are only 10 kilometers left, and the road is tarred the rest of the way. But once again, his smile will quickly fade.
Le moteur, ça chauffe. Misran, viens chatis. Kita na ulle, pa mi ana na otan renulla, viens injir ren. Ai croa mi alo. Ianao mbaka tsy mba hoe matoky an'le hoe tsy mihinana ny rano dia tsy mba hoe mijanona le tômôbila nijanona zao tsika tery dia tsy mba hijery ao anatiny ao. Tsy afa-manoatra fa tsy maintsy miandry izy. Inona moa no azo lazainy eo fa dia efa miandry ny fahavitany satria efa safidy ny hatrany. Na le zavatra mipika maro be zay tsy azoko.
If the mechanic doesn't find a solution, the passengers may have to finish the journey on foot. And in the distance, the dark clouds don't bode well. Torrential rain forces Thierry to take shelter. He's been on the road for 3 days now and has only covered 20 of the 30 kilometres that lead to the village.
Le ohatra amin'ny sara ohatra tao zany tsy dia mety foana ny raha tsy maintsy ata zany ohatra le efa mentany zany andro.
When the rain stops, the work starts. The soil now resembles a muddy soup.
Amin'igny zany ndraiky ohatra izy amin'ny sara amitao baka ohatra sarotro boy zany le sagnamiko satria mijano tsy afany zany eto.
Due to the lack of job opportunities, many of his friends left their wives and children to try to earn some money in the city. The poor state of the roads mean that they can only work with people from the village, and the region is far from being rich.
Zany sarakady sakafo miandry zareo tafiboaka zay ko vao mandeha.
They have no choice. The passage that awaits them is impassable without extra force. They barely manage to swallow their last mouthful of rice before the drivers arrive. They call this passage the Corridor of Satan. To pass it, they have only one technique. The tractors are attached to each other to multiply their power. Everyone manages to pass, except Thierry and his trailer, loaded with 4 tons of goods.
Kofa miasa amin'ny lalagna atao tegna hafahafa hely satria efa zay hita zany hoany. Avy amin'izay nefa afa lasa zatra zany le toe-batagna aminazy.
3 days of struggle. It's hard to imagine that they still have the courage to continue, but Thierry can count on his assistants who tirelessly work in the permanent humidity. Once again, his men put him back on the right track. Thierry pays them €18 per month. For a bowl of rice, some Malagasy take another, much more violent risk. Leo has just turned 20 and is full of courage. Unemployed, he tries to earn a living. Malagasy boxing is a form of celebration. The fights take place to music. However, Leo's opponents don't look like nothing to fear. The boxers fight with their bare fists, feet, and even headbutting is allowed. The only rule? No biting or pulling ears. To win, you must knock your opponent down or immobilize them. It's Leo's turn to fight. Leo won the fight. He pockets the winner's bonus, €10, which is a lot in the countryside. On the island of Madagascar, the days are a constant struggle for a large part of the population. As for Thierry, who is trying to finish the last 6 kilometres to the village before nightfall. But once again, he's out of luck. He will spend a third night on the track.
Tonga tsika fa mbola alina tsisy jirony tao le tracteur dia mijanona tsika satria mbola ratsiratsy kely ery ampambo ery miala eo indray tsika efa mba efa akaiky tanàna efa tonga tanàna tsika miala eo maraindray
Tsangala ronono izy koa petraka ke manjary zany efa be magnino zany batirim-pidirigna any oh blala
The men parked their tractor right at the entrance to the town.
Tenga manganjan bala mafbila lang balurach bala tenga kita kemala viangan tanang.
Indeed, the entrance to the town is in the same state as the track they just faced. It's the 4th day of their journey, and with intense fatigue, their morale is cracking for the first time.
raha ny tena marina tokony tsotra zao ny tena lalana fa tsisy mpikarakara le izy ny tena marina fa raha misy mpikarakara tsara foana le lalana tsisy mpikarakara efa teny efa leony fa leo misy fa zany hoe tsy maintsy atao le izy mba ho afaka tsisy olona anampy misy ny tsina raha tsy zay ihany ny tena anao anty raha atao anao anty zavatra ty mba ahafahana ainganaingana ahafahana izy aingakaingana mba ho afaka
ao jiaby sady jerifiry fambiagna eo mianaka haintan'olo sale fa dia fanarobiny be fa tombony zany tena amaikamaiky.
"3,000 people rely on these tractor deliveries. Without their constant trips to hell and back, the village would have nothing to eat."
Niano vita déchargement mba mangala reraka hely dia ve mba mandeha any amin'ny vady aman-janaka sasasasa ve amindraiky amaraigny miomagna amindraiky andeha mba magnandro entretien hely maraigny vita dia afa mandeha amin'izay.
They drove over 30 hours to cover just 30 kilometres, a shocking average speed of barely 1 kilometre per hour. As for Olivier, he was able to repair the tractor, but it took him 20 hours to cover 180 kilometres. Every year, reconstruction works are announced, but very few are completed. However, these terrible roads severely hindered the development of tourism in Madagascar, a loss of income that could easily finance improving the tracks that lead to the villages.